proper 4K resolution right in front of my face at 120 frames a second on your living room TV. Hello everybody and welcome to a video for the first time in ages, not in the studio because we're going downstairs into the living room and things are very exciting. Why do you look so sad? Hey? Don't you know you're famous? But the reason that we're here today, hopefully it's not to trip over in a spectacular fashion, it's because of this thing. You may remember in the previous video, or a couple of videos back, I've actually just recently put a 3080 TUF in this rig, and it works. But don't worry, today is not specifically about the 3080, it's about 4K 120Hz gaming on a TV. And the thing that makes this specifically possible is actually HDMI 2.1. So this is going to be found on pretty much all new graphics cards really. I'd be amazed if we don't see this right across the range from both AMD and Nvidia. 3080, 3070, 3090 are the first cards that will be able to do this, but we've also got next generation consoles like the Xbox One X and the PS5 that do have HDMI 2.1. The other thing that of course you will need is probably a brand new TV. Anything that has HDMI 2.1 and supports 4K at 120Hz at the moment not only has to be pretty high end. This is a LG OLED behind me. This is the C10 that LG sent me a couple of months ago, and it's fantastic, but you don't have to spend quite this much money. You can get TVs that do this for a fair bit less, but they're not going to be £350 TVs that you find in Asda. You're going to have to make an investment. In theory then, all I should have to do is go to the settings and actually enable 4K at 120Hz. And here we are, 120Hz, 4K, looking good so far. We are getting a little bit of flashing. I'm not entirely sure whether that's because the cable is old or maybe it's not actually set up correctly. So a little bit awkward. It does look like you do indeed need a brand new cable. It's still an HDMI cable, but it's one that's rated for 2.1, so can do 8K at 60, 4K at 120. This old thing needs to go. I guess that means we'll have to pick this up tomorrow. I live in the middle of nowhere. It's a new day and I come bearing HDMI cables. They were actually surprisingly expensive on Amazon. I've gone for two cheapy ones in the hope that one of them will work. I feel like a lot of people probably say that they have a 8K 60 or 4K 120 HDMI 2.1, but they're lying. Let's find out. So the cable works in its 4K 60 mode, but I'm after something a little bit more high res. We hit 120Hz and let's hope that it works. We did get a little bit of flashing black there, but otherwise, so far so good. You're making a very loud noise, my friend. Do you care about HDMI 2.1? G-Sync's also enabled, and I heard rumors that you're gonna still get flashing in this mode and that LG are gonna issue an update for this, but I haven't actually experienced that yet. Ah, there you go. So this is what happens at the moment on the LG TVs when you have G-Sync enabled and 120Hz. You can see something along the way isn't quite right and you get this horrible just black flashing. So let's turn G-Sync off. So here we are then, Horizon Zero Dawn, currently running at around about 80 frames a second or so, and it feels fantastic. Even though we're not getting the most out of that 120Hz refresh rate here, it still does make a big difference. An extra 10-20 frames a second might not sound it, but it does make it actually feel a whole lot smoother even with a controller. And of course it looks fantastic as well. This is so much better than the PS4 version. But of course, to properly get the most out of this, you're going to need a game that can actually run at 120 frames a second. Unfortunately, Doom Eternal runs, as you can see at the moment, at around about 150 frames a second, so no problems whatsoever in that regard. And not only does it look fantastic, like this is proper 4K resolution right in front of my face, you can see all of the details, it's fantastic, but to be able to play at 120 frames a second on your living room TV is just something that, I don't know, I've never really experienced before. Obviously, I'm used to high refresh rate and I sometimes use a controller with my monitor, but when it's on a screen that's this big, it honestly makes the world of difference. Whoa, I have never seen the Fortnite map in that much detail. That is crazy, you could see everything. Here we are then, 4K, 120 frames a second this time, recording with GeForce Experience. There's someone in here. I don't have a gun yet. Oh, God, I don't know what that is. I don't know what that is. I don't know what's going on. Oh, it's a disaster. The good news is that it feels smooth. The bad news is that I am not very good at this game, especially not with a controller, but he's still done it. Talent. Don't say it's auto-aim. Do not say it's auto-aim. So you've just watched some old fart play a load of games on a big TV. Big whoop. What is the relevance for you? Well, I promised this wasn't going to be about the RTX 3080, its performance, or PC gaming in general. It's more about the future, I guess, of gaming and the fact that it is just right around the corner. In fact, it's available now, today. The 3080 is a fantastic graphics card, but to put it in a PC, you're looking at realistically at least 1,500 quid for the lot. The graphics card alone is a fair wad of money. But the thing that's exciting is that it's going to come right down to maybe some cheaper graphics cards, or of course the Xbox One X, and of course the PS5. The problem is though that you do need a lot of power to get 4K at 120 frames a second. It's a lot easier now than it used to be because we have more powerful hardware, and of course the consoles and things like Nvidia's DLSS technology can do this sort of adaptive shading and adaptive methods so that they're not quite rendering at the full resolution, but it outputs at such, and to be honest, you'd never really know the difference unless you get really close to the screen. At the moment, it works not quite flawlessly. As we already discussed, there is a bit of a G-Sync issue at the moment that would make this a whole lot smoother. There is a little bit of stutter in some games that I can't quite work out what it is, whether it's the 4K connection or whether it is just the game itself. It's quite hard to pin down. The main takeaway really, if you are going to get started today, is that you will need a brand new cable. Search for one that says 8K, that's probably your best bet because then in theory, you know it will actually support that resolution, but be careful as I'm sure there are a load of cables that say they will and then won't. What you're looking for is no black flashes, basically. That would indicate a cable that's working properly as long as you've got it set up correctly. I guess the big question is whether all of this is actually worth it. And it's sort of a yes and a no, because I think if you can access all of this and you're really into your gaming, you're really into PC gaming, and you have a very nice television, then I don't think you're going to regret your purchase for a second, because it honestly does feel so much better than 60 frames a second. Having said that, if you're either not that interested in investing a load of money or don't have the money to do so, it's not like you're missing out on the whole experience. I mean, you can still get 4K 60 these days, and all of the new consoles in theory should do 4K 60 for the next few years. I guarantee they will start lowering it down to 30 in the not too distant future, but for now, it's going to be a reality. It's a shame that there aren't really many 4K 120 frames a second games on consoles. There will be some, but they're going to be more either indie titles or less demanding titles, or anything really that requires like the utmost speed, I guess. I'd love to see if there were some games that will actually do 120 frames a second at lower resolutions, but I guess we just have to wait and see what comes around the corner. It's been a really exciting time for gaming in general, and I cannot wait to, I don't know, play more games. Cyberpunk is out soon, that should be a good one. If you do want to learn a little bit more about everything featured in this video, my full setup, you can find that video in the end screen, and links to everything are listed down below, and I'll try and include the HDMI cable that I used as well if you're interested. If you do want to see more videos just like this, get subscribed, including for the Xbox Series X, and of course the PlayStation 5 reviews as soon as they come. They will be live on this channel. But thank you so much for watching. Hit that like button if you've enjoyed it. It would mean the world to me. Let me know your thoughts down below. Are you interested in 4K 120, or I don't know, is it not really essential? Thanks for watching. I'll see you in the next one.